Today we will be learning about the coordinate plane. Please copy down the standard benchmark indicator. The student will identify, represent, order, and compare integers. You can pause the video here to give yourself time to copy down the SBI. Graphing points on a coordinate plane. Parts of the coordinate plane. The x-axis is the horizontal number line, marked here with the x. The y-axis is the vertical number line, marked here with the y. The origin is the place where the two numbers meet. The quadrants are the four sections created by the two numbers. Quadrant 1 is the top right quadrant here. It's the place where the x and the y coordinates are both positive. Then it gets labeled counterclockwise, quadrant 2, quadrant 3, quadrant 4. A point in a coordinate plane is represented by an ordered pair. So the x-axis right here is 4. And you can remember the x-axis always comes first because x comes first in the alphabet. So that the x-coordinate there is 4 and the y-coordinate is -3. And then a coordinate plane is always surrounded by parentheses, one on each side. So to locate point 4, -3, we start at the origin, the 0, 0 point. We move to the positive 4 on the x-axis, so 4 to the right. And then we go to -3 on the y-axis, so we go down 3. And there is point 4, -3. Graph and label these points on the coordinate plane. So you can see at the coordinate plane to our right here, they've already graphed and labeled a number of points. So we can see A, B, C, D, E, and F. So as we graph and label the points, we're going to start at G because that's the next letter in the alphabet. So to find the first point, we're going to go over 4 on the x-axis and then up 1. And we're going to label that point G. For number 2, we're going to go to -3 on the x-axis. We're going to go to the left, and then we're going to go up to +3. And we'll label that point H. Then, for number 3, we're going to go over to 2 on the x-axis, and we're not going to go up at all because it's 0 for the y. For number 4, we're going to go over to +4 on the x and down to -2 and label that J. For 5, we're going to go to -2 on the x-axis and then up to +4 and label that K. And finally, -3, -4. So we're going to go over to -3 on the x-axis and down to -4 and label that L. For 7 through 10, it wants us to write the ordered pair for each point. So for A, first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at where A is. And we can see we have to go over to -4 on the x and then up to +4 on the y. So it's going to be parentheses, -4, 4, close parentheses. For B, again, we're going to go 2 to the left, so to -2 for the x and up to +2 for the y. For 9, for letter D, we're going to go over to +3 on the x and down to -2 on the y. Finally, for E, we're going to go to -2 for the x and down to -2 for the y. For 11, for geometry, if you join points B, C, D, and E in order, what shape is the figure? So we're going to grab our pencil and draw lines. Use a ruler so you get nice straight lines. And we know we've drawn a quadrilateral here. And because it only has one pair of parallel sides, we know it's a trapezoid. For 12, reasoning, in what quadrant will a point with a negative x-coordinate and a positive y-coordinate be located? So we're going to scroll back up here and take a look at our graph. So we're looking for negative x, positive y. So we know for a negative x, we're on the left-hand side here. And we want a positive y, we're up in the top right here. And we know the quadrants start and they're labeled 1 where it's positive, positive. And then it gets labeled in a counterclockwise direction. They're always labeled with Roman numerals. So negative x, positive y is in quadrant 2. Please make sure you have copied all of the work down and glue this paper in your math notebook.